Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Guess India Cloud Experts and Entrepreneurs Dialogue Series. I am Dr. Aparna Rao, and on behalf of Guess India, I am talking to you about yet another entrepreneur, a young entrepreneur, somebody who started up as a student. So today we navigate with Prashanth Dharawath the various questions at the heart of student entrepreneurship. Let me introduce Prashanth to you, our guest for today. Prashanth was formerly, Prashanth started off as a student at IIT Bombay and uh, took all the courses from the first batch of the Desai Sethi School of Entrepreneurship. And from then, I have seen Prashanth very closely, constantly in entrepreneurial mode, if I may call it. And because I've had this opportunity to witness his journey so closely, I thought we should explore what went on when Prashant started up. So, welcome, Prashant. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, ma'am.
Yes.
I'm glad to be part of this series.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So, Prashant, I know you were a former co-founder of a robotics company and then a co-founder of Adapt Ideations, which was a futuristic IoT devices company. You worked
Right.
very closely during COVID for this project.
Yes.
And you are now on to yet another exciting journey. So, talk to us about your journey first, and then we'll take it from there.
Yes. So, thank you once again, ma'am. I'm glad to be part of this series. I started as a student entrepreneur, but let's not call it a student entrepreneur. I'm glad that IIT gave the opportunity to do two electives out of the department. So I said, which are these two courses that I would do and get away easily. That's how it started for me. But then what has happened is, as I started exploring into the entrepreneurship with these courses, the first one being technology venture creation, right? So we are only this side of technology, and then venture creation has given it's kind of a simulation on how the venture can scale in the sheets. I think professors did a really wonderful job, including you, ma'am, in that course back in 2015-16. So that's where it started. What it gave is, it doesn't stop at technology, but there is more to it to convert it as an enterprise. And that was the triggering point that, okay, let's take this as serious thing rather than going for conventional placements and all. And that's where the journey has begun. So I, along with a senior, immediate senior from IIT Bombay, and with a batchmate, we started a robotics company. And initially, to solve the problem of IED devices inside the land, inside in Naxalite affected areas in the country, that's how it started. So, how do we scan the area and say that, this area is out of danger, and it is good to explore for our CRPF and Jawans. That's how it started, and we IIT Bombay, Center for Entrepreneurship, and all of these entities helped us with initially the fund office and all of that to build this robot that can crawl, that navigates. Yeah, so what has happened is, while doing that journey, and the helped us to build a proof of concept. Then the CRPF was interested. So what what has happened is, the cycles that we were going and building was too quick to build it as a scalable product, and hence we said, okay, let's. Then I said, this is not the mindset we would build a company with. Then I said, okay, to my other co-founders, that I would want to leave and start something where we can sell the product quickly, because robot is it was it was a big platform, a moving platform, then six DOF robotic arms. So then said, I came out, then partnered with one more batchmate to form this company called Adapt Ideations, to solve the problem of wastages happening in cold chain logistics and pharma industry. So, and this wastage is not only in pharma, but this wastage is in the food sector also. Everything started with the problem statement that about one third of pharma that is produced, and one fourth, one third of food that is produced gets wasted, simply thrown out. The reason being, these the food that is stored is not monitored, right? There is no alerts that says that, hey, the food is stored here, and nobody, it's not put in right temperature, right conditions, and as a result, the food get wasted in couple of hours of time. So, and in pharma, you cannot put vaccine outside temperature ranges for not more than an hour, and the efficacy is simply low. You will feel that the vaccine got administered, but there are no effects to it, because vaccine in itself is a microorganism out there, and it would die at other temperatures. So that was the problem statement we worked with. Ma'am, is that fine? I'm going little in detail, I
Absolutely.
guess.
No, no. This is completely about this. No problem. Please continue.
Yeah. Yeah, so the problems, that was the problem statement. Then we started working on a solution. We said, okay, there should be an IoT connected device that would monitor the stationary cold rooms, then monitor the vaccine in transit, then monitor vaccine in distribution and everything. And then all of this would send data to the cloud. We would build an intelligent layer in the cloud, and it would send notifications, alerts, and many a times pre-alert saying that, hey, here is how your distribution going on, here are the routes, right? So, and we got the solution out there. Then what has happened is COVID hit. Then we said, okay, everything is going down. Let's we said, let's only survive, let's see what would happen. Okay, so I told my team, guys, I could only pay half or less than that. If it is okay, let's continue. If it is not, then that is how it is. That's where the situation is. Fortunate that most of my team remained um, intact. So prior to COVID, I happened to travel to Australia a couple of times, work with a major supply chain company over there, trying to understand this problem in detail. So once we have the problem, when we were putting the solution together, I traveled extensively, met at least 50 customers. What are the what are products that are currently used, and where the technology is going right now, how can we solve? So the current products that are being used is, they use a offline monitoring recorder that would say that this vaccine has come in so and so temperature. Instead of that, we said, why don't we build an intelligent device that would send data always connected and all. So
During COVID, you are building the product, or did you have any prototype ready?
we had couple of versions pre-COVID already.
All right. All right.
Yes. Yes. So we did. The product was already there. We could have gone for mass production, but the COVID hit, we stopped it there. So extensive customer visits only gave, then we listed all the functionalities. Okay, here are these kinds of customers, these needs, these functionality. So we used to do it on big A2, A3 size papers, and then map the functionality and say that, okay, here is our product gonna look like. And we built the product, then the COVID hit. And then what has happened is, the major logistics giant in Australia said that we partnered with government of Australia to distribute vaccine across the continent, and then New Zealand government also said the same thing. So they asked us, you will be our monitoring partners across the supply chain. So these countries, Australia and New Zealand, were importing vaccine from different country, and then the vaccine was stored in one major hub in Australia, and from there the distribution would start, and that is where we start monitoring the vaccine. And but we got the order, but
it means
sorry.
preparation met opportunity. Your timing must have been very strong, was very strong.
Yeah, the timing was very strong. We played completely in our favor.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, but what has happened is the chip market has completely went down. So the chips that we used in our designs were no more available, and my team was put in various parts of the country. So it was impossible to pull that order. We got a major order from this logistics giant. But then how do we fulfill the order? That was the question we had. So yeah, so luckily, the team was so supportive. I'm fortunate to have built that team again. Thanks to because building the team, the emphasis came from my lectures at my classes at School of Entrepreneurship. You used to always ask, where is your team? Are you lone team member? Why don't you find a team? So we fortunate that we built that team, and then the team was intact. So we said, okay, let's build a new product with what is available in the market. So
I'm here. I'm here, Prashanth. Yes.
yes. So we said, okay, we scrapped everything we had. We had done like 6, 7 iterations by then. We said, let's scrap everything. Software was easy to scrap and rebuild. So we said, okay, all the firmware code, all the I think 18 to 24 months of testing and development, we scrapped everything, and then we kind of built everything in next 2 weeks of time, and you have only 2 weeks. So
Mm.
uh, and between the two COVIDs, there was some gap. So I asked everybody to come to Hyderabad, one city, and then we said, let's go to office in the morning hours, because that's when there was you can move around the city. So we would go to office, build the product entirely in 2 weeks of time, and then we sent out designs for manufacturing, and that's how we kind of fulfilled that order. And that triggered a major investment into the company, and that triggered a geographical. We were then only, we had an office in Australia. Then that triggered a office in uh, US, Atlanta. We were trialing with a lot of customers over there, right? And yeah, so yeah, so that was the journey. And then my board said, we need somebody who's experienced to run the company. And then I said, well, that is good. Then the thought that was inside my mind was, okay, what should I do so that, pay was not the problem. What should I do so that I would create 100 million value in next 2 years of time? So that would not come if I join some other company, if I go and work in US, right?
Mm.
So I would be working for somebody. And uh,
Right.
so that's when my current co-founder Ashish said, okay, there is a problem statement. If played well, uh, we can revolutionize the software development way. How we can quickly bring up the applications out there. So, and then I kind of fell in line, because while I was building my previous product, the cycles of development has impacted a lot. So the entire thought was how to bring um, prototypes and POCs to faster deployable code, scalable code, right? Scalable products. And that was the thought we started with. Once again, restarted everything from zero. And in again, then when you restart, there is no guarantee that your product would be hit in the first go, right?
Right.
It's altogether new product, new industry. You have to understand the problem
Right.
statement, people, and all of that. So in here also, we are going through multiple cycles once again. That's how we started Brokenatom. Yeah,
Right.
I covered most of it, man.
Right. Right. So, Prashant, one question, because you are one person who started up as a student and then you continue to be in startup mode again, meaning I'll
Yeah,
use the same phrase in the sense that you now know how you want to build from a scratch, and you can
right.
build from a concept to scale, and then you have the strength and the capability to take a call when you need to exit and then also make a new effort, correct?
Yes.
So, Prashant, tell us about the key drivers for your decisions. Meaning, when we look at the guest survey, for example, one
Right.
of the findings was that most of the students, excuse me, most of the students expect to take up employment first and then go into entrepreneurship. Almost 38%, if my memory serves me right,
Yeah.
are interested in starting up, but they want to do it after 5 years of employment. In your
Right.
case, it was you have decided consciously not to take up employment.
Yeah.
Um, Tell us about these, the key drivers for this decision.
Um, Yeah, so entrepreneurship started for me as a exploratory activity as first. I used to always think that so many smart IITians or NITians, major institute graduate, PhDs graduate, and I used to always think, where are all they going?
Okay.
So um, then I felt, okay, once you are out of IIT, you would work for a couple of years, or we go for masters, do it 2 year master cycle over there, or you work couple of years in India and you get married and you fall into the cycle of life, and
Right,
you're not free until you are 40 or 45, until your kid leaves your home.
right,
That was one thought. And second, my sister and family lives in US, and I was looking at the seniors from my college. Um, what happens is when you go for masters, you need to retain your visa over there. So you'll have to keep trapped yourself for every 2 year cycle. Someone has to sponsor you. You have to work very well for them, right? I would
right,
otherwise no one would want you to be there, right? So and then you fall in that trap. I mean, there's good trap, of course. There's good standard of living over there, good life. In fact, it here also you get paid well, and then you
right,
get married, and it's a trap in a way. I mean, it's a good trap to have, right? So in both ways it is same. I mean, you fall into the
right,
cycle
right,
of life. So the thought was, when is the time to explore and learn fast and do things quickly, right? So that is as soon as you graduate. Because the moment you go for masters, if you're then you'll have to take a loan, or there is a financial burden, there is a comparison, right?
right,
So or you go for a job, then you always compare your salary with your friend's salary, or next job, better job. So I said, okay, the right time to explore is now. couple of years now, and right time to do understand fasten your cycle is now. And then as I started that, as I started entrepreneurship, then I realized, okay, let's look at the list of entrepreneurs and what it took them to make an impact in the market. So let's not look at few people who had made an impact in very few years of time they started entrepreneurship, but the average span they make an impact is no less than a decade. I mean, you would, right, I mean, half a decade for sure, right? So half a decade
Yes,
for any startup to have it any name on the market. So
right.
well, when I started, I figured out how to survive first, right? By doing entrepreneurship, you can survive too. So once I've survived, okay, how would I build the consistency and build the company and then, reach that time where I make the impact. So yeah,
So
so
you are a first generation entrepreneur, right?
yeah, I'm a first generation entrepreneur in my family.
What was your family outlook like towards this kind of a decision? It must have been disruptive
Yeah,
within the
so
circle at least.
I made some rules. So yeah, definitely, I come from a farming family. So we said, because I made some rules, like I would not take a penny from home. So that would stop half a noise coming from there. And whenever I can, I'll contribute back home. So that would stop most of it.
Right.
Uh, and then they were always saying, why don't you take up a job and all? I said, how does it matter? I started to earn after 2 years of my entrepreneurship journey. So that 2 years was where I said I'll not take money from home. And yeah, yeah. So they
So,
were supportive initially. They were suggesting me, and given that nobody is as educated as I was in the family. I mean, yeah. So immediate family was fairly educated, but I think they were okay for me to try couple of years, but in that time I figured out a way to make money. And so yeah,
that's right. That's right.
my
So,
father want me to do government job though yet.
right. Exactly. Exactly. So navigating through that is not easy,
Yes.
especially family expectations. So you did have a conversation with yourself, right, to identify how you want to navigate through the family pressure about your decision.
Right.
Mm. Tell us about uh, meaning that was so much to unpack in whatever you shared so far. Um, three companies. Brokenatom is the third company, right?
Yeah.
Um, you have also shared how you got into an entrepreneurship course, and the option was that it'll help me get off easily. So
Yes.
today, as you look back on your journey, are there any regrets? Do you think you would have done things differently? Anything?
There are no regrets as such, ma'am. Right now there are no regrets in the journey. I would say it's been like 9 8 9 years since I graduated, but I unpack. I feel that I've gained the knowledge of 30 years working in India, navigating through various parts of the country. Um, so there are no regrets. I know how a Delhiite would behave, how would Mumbaiker behave, how a South Indian behave in a team culture. I mean, when you are talking to people from who do you who customers who want to genuinely support you, customers who want to squeeze as much as out of you. So I could unpack, learn all that experience a conventional person, a MBA graduate would learn in 10 12 years of their career post all these. So that way, learning wise, I have no regrets at all. In terms of money, I guess I made what more than what my friends could make. So there are no regrets that way as well. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that is Great. So, Prashant, let me give you another statistic from the guest survey. Okay.
Yes.
So, one of the findings was that 4.8% of the students who responded to our survey are already running a business venture. The global figure for this is 11%. Okay. What do you think should
Sorry,
change?
ma'am, can I get the question once again?
Yes, yes. So in the guest survey, the students who responded to us, we found that 4.8% of these students are already running their own business ventures.
Right,
4.8% of the students, right? We
right,
got students from across the country.
right.
Now, the global average of student entrepreneurship is 11%. Okay. What do you think should be done to improve this number, the percentage of students entering entrepreneurship as a student? First of all, do you think it should be a goal that we encourage more and more students to take up entrepreneurship? Secondly, what can change?
Yeah, so how I'm looking at that, ma'am, is introduction to entrepreneurship for me was done by choice, right? But imagine introduction to entrepreneurship was done by force.
Mm,
Just
exactly.
a pun, but
Mm,
yeah. So I think it should be done like early, early in graduate schools by not by choice but by you know we do introduction to humanities, we do introduction to biosciences. Why not introduction to entrepreneurship, right? That
right.
would so what will happen is I took introduction to entrepreneurship by choice. When you say by choice, I think 10-20% of people would only want to look at that, right? And then I did it my third, I think third year, second semester or so, or early fourth year. Um, so it came out as a lot of one. It came out as a choice, right? And it came in the third or fourth year of my bachelor's, and then
Mm,
it came out of multiple options that I have. I could go for an MBA, I could go for a job, or I could go for masters or PhD, right? So but what if this is made as a compulsory course in all the graduate schools, right?
right.
And to be done in second year or later second year. I don't know. I don't know when is the right time, but then what would happen is the thinking would change for a lot of students. The number would sharply rise. If what if there was a course on registering a company, doing transactions, right, handling customers, making Excel sheets, right, filing GST, and then how to run a basic company. So I think that numbers will not, I can't say it will double, but quadruple uh,
Mhm,
if these activities are done.
mm.
Uh, um,
That's right. That's right.
because it'll not it's a theory, it can be a theoretical course where students are for me, uh, we used to do MA like this, MA courses, and we are uh, second order differential equation courses. Somebody who's doing all these
Mm,
introduction to entrepreneurship should be an easy course, right? There can be case studies, there can be. So what would happen is that would take away all the fear of starting up, and entrepreneurs can, students can be entrepreneurs while doing their bachelor's, um, and can get out much more confident. That's how I believe. Yeah.
right, right. So, Prashant, since you mentioned the course Introduction to Entrepreneurship, in your case, the person who took it was an entrepreneur himself, somebody who'd been there, done that. And when
Yes.
you heard straight from the horse's mouth, so to
Yes.
say, there is a certain impact. how would students accept it from an academician, somebody who's an educator and who's interested in entrepreneurship, of course, and teaching this course? Would students be as accepting as lessons from an entrepreneur directly?
I think there has to be a strong attractor to these courses initially, um, because it happens by crowd itself. When when I was there used to come seniors who would be like, I keep seeing the post from LinkedIn that Bhavish Agarwal went to IIT Bombay, and then the lecture hall was full of students. So what would happen is, initially it can't be the entrepreneurs teaching these courses, because their learning will be only limited to some sectors. There has to academicians has to come, put out case studies and put out a theoretical plan, because they are the researchers behind all these entrepreneurs. So it has to be a combination well curated, so that you pull the crowd initially. That's how I am looking at.
Interesting, very interesting. What else would you add to this formula of classroom course on entrepreneurship? Do you think factors like mentoring, funding, team formation, incubation, will they play a role at such an early stage?
Yeah, so in my case, all the credit goes to Desai Sethi Center for Entrepreneurship. All, like, you were there, I met you over there, and all the credit goes to the staff over there, Desai Sethi Center. Um, so no doubt, there was a layer protecting
Mm,
us. There was a layer curating environment that would bring out the crazy thoughts in our brains and validate. And so the incubation centers, entrepreneurship schools definitely play a much bigger role when I think, right? And because you need to have somebody who would listen to your crazy ideas, right? Otherwise they only remain crazy ideas. So
right.
me and my friend, from bachelor's, we had we were working on an idea similar to Practo back in 2014.
Mm,
So and we went to Science Center for Entrepreneurship, and then we said, can we do it? And they said, why not? You guys just come down, we will help you in registering the company, we'll help you. Unfortunately, we did not perceive that idea, but what I'm saying is, whenever we meet, we always ask ourselves, oh, we should have done that. Like,
right. Okay. Mm,
so
that's right.
yeah, I think they play a major role, because students are, like, often are clueless.
Correct. Correct. So, at an institutional, so let's close this one segment about your student entrepreneurship. What pitfalls do students face when they have all these ideas that you were talking about? What is it that stops them from taking that one step and experimenting or starting up?
I think it's to do more with competition within friends, competition within departments, of securing a job, securing a seat in masters. Um, right. So uh, they are competing to do what is next best thing amongst friends. So the entire thought process of dealing with uncertainty is not taught anywhere.
Right,
I think that I think that
right.
is a major role.
Correct, correct. That plays a big role. In fact, yes, that's such a strong insight, Prashant. You, in your first venture that you were experimenting with, you were doing it as a part of your course you mentioned, right? Technology venture creation.
Yes.
So, you got in touch with the defense. You said the CRPF came in and all. How did
Right.
you manage that being a student?
So we were a team of then we were a team of four people. One of us on the communication side, working with IIT Bombay had made the introduction through their I think there's a center called um, Center for which connects to the industry and industrial bodies.
Okay.
So they made the introduction and we met.
The defense, they work with defense.
Yes, they work with defense as well. So they made the introduction and then CRPF had an open problem statement of somebody solving this. And we said we would want to do something in robotics, and why don't we pick this as problem statement? So
Mhm. Correct. So let's go to the next part here. What kind of, so the next segment will be related to institutional level or policy level interventions
right.
that, yeah. So, what kind of interventions do you think will bridge this gap, which will and encourage more students to explore entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so first, the point number one should be um, should the educational institutions should introduce entrepreneurship, and that is not happening. Like, that is
Okay.
happening as a choice. You
Okay.
have bunch of 100 courses to take. You pick one or two, and then the chances are 2-3 percentage. So
Right, right, right.
the introduction can happen much earlier. The second one is I don't know how this is to be done, but the students' mindset should be changed in such a way that it is okay to have a couple of years of your life to be an exploratory life, post graduation, right?
Mhm.
When I look at the history and statistics of my the people that I know, right? It's not that everybody who has gone for PhD in a um, you know ranked number one university had done so great a job, right? So there is no standard formula. So the standard formula can be uh, somehow, I don't know, teaching students that they can explore things uh, a year or two post graduation, trying to solve some problem statements, right? So that has to be brought down. That would be my second point.
Okay.
Yeah. Third, yeah, I think these are the 2 points. Uh,
Mm. Mm. So,
somehow if
yes, sorry, please complete.
somehow if these two things gets into the student's mind early, it would be, yeah, the number of entrepreneurs coming out can be quadrupled.
Correct, correct, correct. So, Prashant, there is yet another guess finding that I would like to share with you. According to this report, 63% of student entrepreneurs have access to university support
Right.
for developing ventures, but only 26% of these student ventures get incubation. What are the gaps that you have observed in the incubation ecosystems in educational institutions?
Yeah, so there are, I mean, in fact, this comes from experience itself. The incubation ecosystem has to um, own the entrepreneurs in the early stage. Like sometimes what would happen is, um, for example, um, like in IIT, I think there was the ecosystem was definitely there. You have to apply for um, you have to apply for some schemes so that they would put some money. Um, there has to be a groundwork that has to be done.
Right.
Um, then present it to the committee, and then uh, so what would happen is all of this has to be done as an extra activity apart from your academics.
Correct.
From
Exactly.
my experience, um, academics was too intensive at IIT Bombay. It was quite consuming. Then you have extracurriculars, then you have friends, right? So, when all of us has to be part of your life over there, and then you have to do entrepreneurship. That means you have to pull all together one or two courses apart from what you're doing, right? So, um, one incentive for the students could be, you know, just like there was an elective for me that enabled me to take a course on entrepreneurship. Uh, there can be electives that says that, hey, you work on an entrepreneurship idea equivalent to some course, equivalent to some credits, and credits come together for a degree, right? So that can be an so students literally going to these entrepreneurship buildings and then sitting there and working, um, trying building a cult out of entrepreneurship
Mm.
can be one incentive for students, right? So that they're at least visiting there, trying to do something. Just like I would visit lecture halls for my lectures, but they are just lecture halls. So, but what if
Right.
lot of teams working over there in dedicated buildings, and these are considered in the grading system in the point, and then these are attached to these schools are attached to incubation centers, and then right, if there is a journey that can be curated, uh,
Correct.
that would help a lot, I guess.
A pathway within the institution as a
A
safe,
pathway within the institute,
safe
yes.
a fail-safe entrepreneurial journey.
Yes.
Right.
Right now, with all of that is coming out of a narrow choice to you.
Right. Right. So you mentioned IIT Bombay, and definitely facilities at IIT Bombay, meaning resources, is not a constraint in IITB. But
Yes.
what about tier two and tier three cities, or what about institutions within Mumbai who do not have access to the same kind of ecosystem support? Um, what they will really have to pull out budgets and build on this. What is the
Right.
incentive for them to take it forward for universities or institutions?
I think in that would come as a major educational policy change, uh, where these institutes should be incentivized in some way through grading. So I see that these institutions get graded on some metrics, but why shouldn't that metrics be entrepreneurship as a major metric, right? That would change the economy. I feel that way. So
Yes, yes, yes. True, true. So, what about the private sector, Prashant? We've spoken about the educational sector.
uh, sorry, ma'am, I missed something. Yeah.
Yes, no, no problem. We spoke about the educational sector. We spoke about what can be done for incubation, what kind of mm, free funding ideas can be implemented, and all of that. What do you think corporations, VCs, and accelerators can do in this space to incentivize either students in educational institutions or institutions themselves to encourage venture creation.
I think even in tier 2, tier 3 cities, there are a lot of industries. If these education institutions are somehow able to connect with these industries and get them on board there, so that these people will bring out problem statements to the institutions.
That's right. Okay. So the industry will provide the problem statement. You meant.
Yeah, so because what is happening is a student like me would never understand. For me, it is a frustrating world, but we would never know what the problem out there is. The
Mhm.
problem that could pay, right? I mean, that's the basis for entrepreneurship. A
Right.
problem that is worth solving, that has a market to it, that has
Right.
a scalability to it. So, at any tier city, there can be a combination of incubators, educational institutions, and industry out there, right? Uh, so everybody, incubation center, education is bringing entrepreneurs or students. Incubation is an environment um, they get nurtured. Industry can bring the problem statement. Government can have a little bit of early um, some funding or some way to support this. And if this is part of a policy or part of educational rethinking, I believe it can do wonders.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Prashant, one last question. And before I close, I would like to kind of also speak to you, mention that we will come back to you for any more further insights, because there are so many things that have come out in whatever you said, that when our
Right.
team analyzes it, there will be more questions. We would like to come back to you
No,
on that.
absolutely no. I'm always available, man.
So
Uh,
one last question. What would be one bold hack to that you would share for aspiring student entrepreneurs? How can they start, and how can they overcome the fear of failure?
I think
Is
I've
there, is
yes.
there one hack for it, or are there more than one hack? What you can answer?
I think there has to be the habit of. I mean, a year going or year or two going waste shouldn't matter in early stages of building a career. So um, I think it should be okay to explore new things. uh, the journey don't have to be super perfect. I graduated, then I got into masters, then I got into job, then I got. It don't have to be super perfect, right? I somehow feel uncertainty is the root for creation and uh, creation of any kind or innovation of any kind. So that would start with the uncertainty the students would want to take at the, and it would have high rewards later on.
Right. Right.
So uh, yeah, yeah, that's what I said. It is okay to, try something new for a year or two. There's nothing wrong. You want to be an entrepreneur in the fourth year because that's a deciding year. Do you want to do MBA, masters, or take up a job? But why not entrepreneurship and pursue it for a couple of years? And there's nothing wrong. As as soon as this thing goes into the heads of student entrepreneurs, the retainership in the student entrepreneurship would increase drastically.
Correct. And supposing they don't start up, but they have developed the mindset I think even the problem solving mindset, like you mentioned, identifying problem statements, solving
Yes.
problems. Even if they've developed the mindset towards that, I think it's a job well done.
Yes. Yeah, because once you become a micro entrepreneur, then you would always, when you join a fairly larger organization, you would want to always the problem finder and solver. Um, to this day, I look it that way only. Even today's day, I align my team in what is the problem and how do we solve this? How do we put aside all hierarchical egos aside and get to the problem, solve it in time? That is the mindset. I guess that would help in any profession they take.
Absolutely. On that note, thank you so much, Prashant. This was a very rich interview with so many inputs because it's rare that we get to talk to entrepreneurs who start off as students and build three companies like you have and share so much along the way. Thank you so much for
Thank you
this.
very much, ma'am. Glad to be part of this.
Yes,
Happy
thank you.
to be part of any conversations in the future. Yeah, do let me know.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Prashant.
Thank you.